Hello and welcome back to Mistakes Were Made. That was like a really dramatic entrance. Today we are doing our budget with me. It is going to be for the first pay period of August, so the 1st through the 15th. I can't believe we are in August already. It's the year has just been going by so crazy fast. It is the 28th today, Sunday the 28th, so we have not actually completed that particular pay period. So some of the numbers that we're going to be going through may or may not be accurate because we don't have all of the details or data just yet. So just as a warning, but that's okay. Let me zoom in so we can get started. August 1st through 15th. And to get started, we will be putting Mr. M's paycheck, which has actually already come through, so we do know the actual numbers for that. $1,963.99. Mine, however, has not. I get paid twice a month, and it's the 15th and then the last day of the month. And so it hasn't even come in yet as a pending thing. So we're just going to use our standard kind of placeholder of $2,225. We're not expecting any kind of bonuses or extra income. So that's the zero or crossed out. We don't budget any money for Etsy just because you don't know what's going to come in. And to be honest, we haven't really had a lot of activity with the Etsy shops in the last couple of weeks. So, I'm not anticipating that we're going to necessarily see anything there. Somebody, actually more than one person, has asked, for more details about our Etsy shops and things like that. And I thought it might be useful to just put out there for anybody that is interested, and I do appreciate your interest. We are not sharing like our Etsy links for a couple of reasons. First is I've got two Etsy shops and neither one of them are really, budget related. So I don't feel super comfortable sharing the links for that because there's not necessarily a tie in to the point of this channel. There could be an argument of you're trying to make money to bring your debt down. So this could be an avenue to assist with that, which I absolutely do understand that thought process. And I agree, it could certainly be, but it just feels a little weird to me because of the subject, not the subject, but what we are offering up. One is a digital site that has my photography and rudimentary attempts at digital art, but I am not an expert photographer. It is all very, very amateur. And anything that comes out, halfway decent is definitely a fluke. Everything fell into place, and I do not claim any particular talents with that. And honestly, there was a time where I was kind of like, oh, I would really like to pursue doing photography as a thing, but I also know that I didn't really have the technical chops. And I never got to a point where I really studied how to, do photography beyond just taking my camera out and shooting, the whole lighting stuff and f-stops and this, that, and the other. That stuff is kind of beyond me. And honestly, I haven't been out to do an actual photography session. I like doing like landscape types of things for probably like 15 years. So it's been a while. The other shop that I have is more for jewelry, and it's jewelry supplies. So I also delved into, trying to express myself creatively that way. And I learned pretty quickly that while I enjoyed putting, jewelry together and things like that, I also did not have a skill level that I felt was marketable. The things that I could create, basically anybody else could create as well. There wasn't anything incredibly intricate about them or unique and stuff like that. So to stay kind of in that realm, though, I decided to switch to supplies and just, kind of become a middleman. And that let me, play with beads and stuff like that, which I definitely enjoy. Or at least I did. But at this point, we are kind of looking at liquidating our inventory. So my attention to the Etsy shop has been fairly limited to, just refreshing what's already there and available for people to buy. We're not making like new purchases of inventory or anything like that. I do have a good chunk of, jewelry things that I did make back in the day. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with those because they obviously didn't sell when I had them available before. So that'll be I don't know if I'll just break them down and, get the beads and all the components and just sell them separately or what I'll do. But anyway, neither of those things are really relevant to this channel. So that's why I don't advertise them. The other piece is more of a privacy situation. We do not have a PO box, and currently if somebody's purchasing something from us and we are actually shipping it out, then of course our address is available for people to see, and that is something I'd rather not have linked up with this channel, just because we do share a fair amount of intimate information. Now, if we do get to a point where the cost of a PO box might make sense, because we've reduced our debt even more significantly or for whatever reason, then we might revisit and make some different decisions as far as that's concerned. So that's that. Not a big deal, but next, back to our regular scheduled programming, we've got the budget rollover that we are anticipating to be $200.20. So let's go ahead and add all of these together. $1,963.99 plus $2,225 plus $200.20, which brings us to $4,389.19. All right, so we are at the beginning of the month, and August is a magic month for us, which means for Mr. M, we are expecting 3 paychecks for him. I never get magic months because I only get paid twice a month, and that's on very specific days, the 15th and the last day of the month. So sad. But the kind of downside to that is we also have a magic month for our mortgage payment, because we pay that every 2 weeks, just like he gets paid every 2 weeks. So yeah, even though we're going to see 3 paychecks, we're also going to see 3 mortgage payments. Now, the cats are having a fit for some reason, so I'm going to have to go check that out. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. He's on a tear about something. I don't know. For some reason, 2 of our cats are not getting along right now. They usually do, but they're both having fits at the moment. Okay, so we are going to fill in the items that we pay during the first pay period. $875 for the mortgage, $15.49 for Netflix, $11.99 for Kindle. This is the first month where I'll be paying my higher car insurance. Not super excited about that, but it is what it is. This is also month number 2 for the new monthly water bill. Last month it was $123.75. We have been watering quite a bit more for the garden this past month, so I'm anticipating it's probably going to be more than that. I'm only going to put in $125 because I really don't know what this is going to shake out to look like, but I wouldn't be surprised if the actual dollar amount ends up being higher, and then that'll help inform what we should use as a guesstimate in the future. All right, Mr. M has his car insurance as well, and then the rest of these are second half of the month items. So we'll go ahead and add these up. $875 plus $1549 plus $1199 plus $129.50 plus $125 plus $204.59, which ends up being $1,361.57. So we're going to subtract that from our total income up here of $4,389.19, and that gives us a total remainder of $3,027.62. Okay, first half of the month, so no emergency savings. We won't fill in the extra savings yet, and we're just going to do a generic $200 for the buffer rollover at the moment. So slide this over. We'll add that 200 there. That brings us down to $2,827.62. Okay, so now we're back into cash envelopes. Some of these we do not fund during the first pay period. So for those items, we'll just cross those suckers out. That should be $12 there. And then for the rest, I'll go ahead and get these filled out. Uh-oh, yep, I'm going off screen. No, we do not do gifts. $200 for health. For groceries. $25 for household. $15 for license. These two we don't do. And then $20. Oh my gosh, I'm getting off screen again. Who's that? Okay, so let's add these up. We've got 100 plus 12 plus 50 plus 50 plus 25 plus 100 plus 5 plus 200 plus 10 plus 25 plus 15. What happened? We are okay. I wasn't really paying attention to the total on the calculator and something went horribly wrong. Let's try that again. $10, $25, $15, and $20. That's way better. Okay, $612. Yeah, I don't know what I would have done if it actually had been in the thousands. That would have been no bueno. Okay, so we're going to take our 612 and subtract our remaining income, and that leaves us with $2,215.62. And we're moving on over here to the debt side. And we got this is all paid off, so we're going to ignore that. We do not pay anything for Discover during the first pay period, but this is where we do our first of 2 payments of $488 to Reflect. Nothing for extra debt at the moment, so our total will be that $488. And then we're going to go ahead, add that that drops us to $1,727.62. And then we've got my $30 of guilt-free spending. I'll just add 30 there, make that all nice and easy, which brings us down to $1697.62. And then we've got the yard cleanup of $100. And then all the rest of these pie in the sky, big dream items that we want to get done eventually, we're going to cross those suckers off because it's not their time just yet. Okay, so that's $100 there. And because I'm lazy, we'll just add 100. And that brings us to a total of $1,597.62 that should be left over after we have covered all of our responsibilities financially, which is amazing. And you know, I know that this is a huge number. We are incredibly lucky to have an opportunity to be in this position. We are doing our best to take full advantage of it and do so in a responsible way. To that end, there was a question that was put on one of our recent videos, and the person essentially asked, you know, what did you spend your credit card debt on, and what changes have you made to kind of reverse that situation? And I thought that was a really great question. And so I did create a video to kind of go into the how did we get here piece of things, and then, you know, what it is we've done to date to try and get out of that. I was listening to it again yesterday, and I'll be honest, I'm a little hesitant to post it up. One, because it's like 50 minutes long, and it's basically me just sitting with like a piece of paper and talking the entire time. There's a little bit of like pay detail that I go into, which is why I needed the piece of paper, but primarily it's just me talking, which I don't know how entirely interesting that's going to be. But the other piece that I'm struggling with a little bit is, again, I also don't know that it's going to be terribly relatable or helpful for other people. My thought was, you know, as I went through and kind of discussed what we were doing back then and what we're doing now, that maybe there would be things for people to glean from that conversation and be able to, I don't know, find something that they can do different with their budget to see even more success. But in listening to it again, I'm kind of like, is there even anything to tease out of this? So I'm a little hesitant about posting it up at this point. Maybe I shouldn't be second guessing things, and I should just do the videos and put them up and let the chips fall where they may. I don't know. I definitely get this way about stuff. I find weird roadblocks, and then they I don't know, then they just push me off course. So my brain, myself, I don't know, creates these weird roadblocks that it seems like nobody else seems to have any problem with. and it's very frustrating because it's hard to explain or to, you know, it's hard for me to say just why it's a problem. Anyway, as you can see, I can't even talk now because I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to move on because you know why? We need to figure out what we're doing with this $1,597.62. We know what we're going to do with it, don't we? Yes. We are going to break it up between debt, and we are going to break it up between savings. And we're going to do our standard. 75% of that is going to debt because we want to get that debt down. And then 25% is going to go to bulking up the savings. Now, one thing that we have kind of talked about a little bit is if we get to the point where we expect to have saved between what we actually physically have in the bank as well as what we are expecting when my severance and PTO payout end up coming. If we get to a point where we have 12 months of savings, we're kind of thinking about backing off the savings at that point, just, shutting it down completely. We're not quite there. The job would definitely need to go for a little bit longer for us to get there. But that's something we're kind of contemplating. Debt, 75%. Here it is. Here we go. So we have got $1,597.62, and we're going to subtract 75% of that, which means for savings we have $399, which means we can also make some updates over here. So we're going to put $399 for this, and we're going to add that 62 cents to the buffer, which means if we take $1,597 and subtract $399, that leaves us with $1,198 to go towards debt. Now, we are going to triage this just a little bit more. I kind of wish that this was going to be a little bit higher because, I'm doing my normal. The main debt needs to end in $00, $25, $50, or $75. So that means $11.75 will go to reflect, and $23 would then be available for Discover. But I'll be honest, I would much prefer for this to be a full $1,200, even if that means Discover gets $0. So who knows? Maybe we will be in a position where the amount spent here ends up being a few dollars less, or maybe we'll see something come through on Etsy during this pay period, and that will bump the income up just enough for us to see this hit at least $1,200. That would be pretty nice. Yeah, so very excited about this though. I know what we're speculating we'll be able to pay extra on the Reflect card at the end of July. And between that and, just our standard payments for August, we are on track to be making some pretty significant impacts. Still on track to potentially pay it off, the Reflect card, by the end of September. We do, of course, still need to work through the entirety of September for us to be able to actually see that happen, because we would very much be relying on having the income coming in that we currently have to make that a reality. So here's hoping that we are able to continue forward with the progress that we have been making. Things are looking good as far as this sheet is concerned. And yeah, I think that's about it. So thank you so much for watching. As always, if you do have any questions, feedback, things like that, we'll love to read them. Please note those down below. If you haven't subscribed already and that sounds like something you'd like to do so you can keep track of where we are, please consider doing that. I think we're currently one person away from 850, and that means we would be 251 people away from hitting that magical 1,000 mark for monetization, which I'm very, very curious about. Other than that, I want to just thank you for taking the time. I really do appreciate everybody that says, hey, here's 15, to more like 30 minutes of my time that I'm willing to spend listening to somebody drone on about their budget and the money that they need to spend and the debt that they've gotten themselves into and now need to get themselves out of. So thank you so much, everybody who has been incredibly supportive. The folks who have provided information that has been very, very helpful for us, as well as, included what they're going through and the experiences that they have, because I absolutely learn from each and every one of you. And there's things that people suggest that we take and implement in our processes, whether it's an immediate thing or something that we keep in mind for the future when we have moved into a slightly different place in our process. In fact, something that I do need to start really looking into is IRAs, because my work just recently advised that they are shutting down the 401k process. They have been, allowing people to contribute to their 401k through, up until this point. I have not personally been doing that since the bankruptcy was, since I started this process at least. But it's been available. That is stopping. And so, of course, we need to figure out what we're going to do with the funds that we do have in our 401ks. And we have a little bit of time. I want to say the deadline to have made some kind of move is in October. And then at that point, if you don't do anything, then they will move it to some kind of generic IRA where you don't really have a whole lot of choices in the selections and who's administering it and stuff like that. So I don't like the idea of that. So I want to make sure that I'm making the best choice. I've almost 100% taken transferring it to a Roth IRA off the table, simply because my understanding is I would then have to pay the taxes on that amount, because a Roth IRA, something about it means you can take money out of it without penalty, because it's post-tax, whereas the money that we're going to put in right now is pre-tax because it's from a traditional 401k. And I just don't see us having the money to be able to pay taxes on the amount that I currently have in my 401k, because they'll treat that like income if I transfer it over to a Roth IRA. I'm not sure how much that would come to, but it's very, very much more than I'm anticipating we have in our taxes envelope. So I've mostly taken that off the table as something that's an option. So we're looking mostly at just like a traditional IRA. So I need to see what options are out there. My 401k has done pretty well this year, and traditionally I've made a pretty good return year after year on the selections that I've made. So I do want to be in a position to be able to find where my money is going to go for the IRA myself, rather than leaving it up to somebody else to pick stuff for me. But I don't know if I'm biting off more than I can chew in this situation, because the options that I had for my 401k were limited to, I think they had maybe like 30 funds, 40 funds that you could choose from. So, it's already been curated to an extent. And then I got to choose out of those. And I don't know how the IRA process works. If I stay with like Fidelity, if I then have just the length and breadth of the stock market to pick funds from, that seems incredibly overwhelming. Or if, because I want to put an IRA together, it would be similar to a 401k in the IRA that I transfer my money to. They'll have a set number of stocks and bonds and whatever options, and then I cherry pick from those to say this is where I want the money to go. I really don't know. I'm not sure how that works. So, like I said, I've got some research that I need to do. I'll probably need to contact somebody at Fidelity, because they have like a team that's supposed to help us specifically at the company that I work for. And be there as contacts to give us help. So I'll probably need to pick their brains to get a little bit better idea of what I'm doing, because I don't know. This is outside my wheelhouse, but it is something that I want to learn more about, and Mr. M wants to learn more about as well, because of course our goal, once our debt is covered, at least the credit card debt and stuff like that, is making sure we're doing investing for the future as well. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see where things go. But I have now rambled this on even longer than I had anticipated. So we're just going to say a short and sweet thank you. I hope you enjoyed what you watched, that you consider subscribing if you haven't, and that you'll see me in the next one.